warm welcome to yet another episode of Campus Connect. This week we discuss a very interesting topic. Football, cricket, sports in India. Why is cricket such a religion in India and other sports? Do other sports suffer because of the magnitude of the following that cricket enjoys? Today we are at Sharda University. Please give yourselves a huge round of applause for having us. And we chose Sharda University because they have sports teams here. We were speaking to the football captain of your university. We'll speak to you as well in just a bit. Let me introduce the guests today. We have with us Mr. Vikas Sethia. Please welcome Mr. Vikas Sethia. He works with City FC Pune. FC Pune City is a football club in India. We also have another football representative. Mr. Rajesh Mehrotra works with the famous PSG, Paris Saint-Germain football club. French A-Leagues, League One, whatever you call it there. League One, I think. And joining us tonight also will be Himanshu Chaturvedi. Please welcome him to your campus. Himanshu works with Lok Diksha Sports Law Initiative. He's a sports commentator and writer. I'd like to come straight to you first, Vikas Sethia. Vivek Sethia, I beg your pardon. Indian football has always been popular in pockets, in Kerala, in the Northeast, in the services, in the army. Why do you think football has such a huge deficit as compared to cricket? Is it because, and I would like you to peruse this as well, is it because that cricket, when it started getting popular 40 years back, it has a head start of 40 years over football? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree that cricket had a head start. In fact, in the 1950s, football was really big in the country. We got a gold in the Asian Games. We qualified for the Olympics. We didn't make it there though, as in we didn't participate. But India qualified in the Olympics in the 50s. And the fact is that till about 1960s, both cricket and football were pretty similar in terms of popularity. Now, obviously, cricket took over. We won the World Cup in '83. The sports started getting commercialized. The children started looking up to their heroes.
Why could football get the same kind of attention? Because we didn't win a World Cup,
Two big things. I think two big things. Heroes. We lacked heroes desperately. You know, when I was growing up, the only thing I could see on TV was the Gavaskars and the Kapils of the world, and there was nobody to look up to for other sports. It's not just football. And the other is, because of the World Cup, it really helped commercializing the sport. Unless there is commercial power in a sport, no sport in any country can work.
You know, before I come to the other guests, I have a quick question for the audience, and this could be just out there. Respond with whatever you would like. Do you think there's enough or equal talent for cricketers and footballers in India? Do you think Indian cricketers are generally better than Indian footballers? Do you agree, yes or no? Yes. There's yeses and no's here. That's interesting. And we're going to find out why. Who says yes? Who says yes? One person. I'll come to you in just a moment. You know, there was yeses and no's there. Some people believe that Indian football talent or footballing talent is almost equally as good as the kind of cricketers we produce. Would you concur there? Because we're catching them young with your club, but would you concur the talent is similar?
I think, Athar, we have similar talent at the grassroots level. But after that, what makes a difference is world-class training and world-class opportunities and platforms for those young talent to be nurtured upon. And that is where we somehow seem to lack in football, whereas we've got that opportunity in cricket. So cricketers have that platform where they can showcase their skill, whereas our footballers don't have those platforms where they can showcase.
Slowly something is coming up now. They're very late
for
attempts,
sure.
Though.
For sure. A lot, I think it's a lot of things going right for football. Let me take you back to a few numbers per se. So between 10 years back, over the past 10 years, from 2006 to 2009, TAM, which is television audience measurement ratings, they showed a 60% increase in football viewership. Nielsen reinforced that fact in 2010, where we saw a large
Give me one moment. How
increase.
many of you watch football at home instead of cricket? Hands, please. Let's capture that. Let's see how much. This is about 20% of the audience. How many watch cricket religiously? That's substantially higher than what we saw. So, you know, that's a quick poll we did right there.
Yes.
You know Nielsen, but this is a dipstick survey for you right there.
Correct, but if you see, this is growing. So what I'm talking about, obviously the number of people who watch cricket is higher, but in 2012, for example, the UEFA Champions League, they were around, again, TAM ratings show they were around 156 million viewers, which is less than cricket. Cricket had around 180 million viewers.
You know,
so
let me
that's
ask
what your dipstick also shows.
Before I come to you for specific questions, think about what you want to say. I'll have a question here and I'm coming to you right now. Himanshu, we've covered cricket for a very long time. We've covered the hysteria about cricket. When IPL happened, cricket lovers or sports lovers like me had our hearts broken. We were heartbroken then because what was happening in cricket. Still, to this day, after so many scandals and everything else, cricket is still #1 in India. Why?
I'll just pull one out of what Vivek said. I'll just take it one step forward. In the Olympics, the Indian team made it to the semi-finals, right? The gist lies in the unprofessional management of the game. The entire cricket management was totally nothing before '83. When India won the World Cup, I mean, if you had a hockey player walking on the street, people were running after him to take photograph and autograph rather than Kapil Dev. But after '83, there was a professionalization of cricket through the management.
Which never happened in, say, football or other sports.
Yeah, see, the problem of football is that people are not managing it properly. Viewership, as you said, the Nelson and everything, the 90% of the viewer today are children, those who are in school. Children from the yeah, so they're watching and they idolize those players. They know more. Like if you ask a youngster who's in school today that spell 11 players of Indian cricket team, he may not do it. But for a Manchester, 22 player names he knows.
Yeah.
But
the
problem
here, who's a football fan like that here? Who follows it? Let me talk to some football fans. And what has happened to such a beautiful game in our country? What's your name, my friend?
Nasir.
Nasir, why do you like football? How long have you been watching it? Why do you prefer it over cricket?
I've been watching football from past 6 years. I was a cricket fan first, but then I decided to move on to football because football is after all a global game. It's played all over the world. Cricket you will see only in the Asian countries and few of the European countries, but football is followed all across the world and it has some great names in it. And it is followed by...
If you had the chance to go professional, if you're that good, football or cricket, which would you choose? Living in India?
Football.
Still football. Given the fact that it has not the kind of money cricket has, why would you choose football?
Because football is after all my passion. I like football more than...
So one passionate fan here for football. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But how many of you, if you had the talent, would choose cricket over football? How many of you? If you had the chance, hypothetical, 1 over there, 2 over there, why would you choose cricket? Is it because cricketers get all the money, because the mullahs there? Is it just about money and fame? What's your name? Please stand up.
I can get all the conditioning, I can get all the coaches, but as of right now in India, in football, there are not many football coaches. They are like camps, like FCB Skola and everything, but they are exclusive, and they ask for money. There's not many scholarships there. Whereas in cricket, if you see the stories of Infar Pathan and other people, they were sponsored, they were helped, and they were groomed and nurtured. Whereas in football, in India, you don't get the chance here.
Do you also believe, Shivam, keep that, do you also believe, given the fact that we have so few, in fact, stars of the game, in sports like football? After Baichung, who do you know? After Baichung, who do you know?
Sunil Chhetri.
That's it, right? Nobody else.
But first of all, to get stars, you have to condition those stars. Stars are not born just like that. Now, they are not thrown off the earth. They have to be nurtured, they have to be hard worked, they have to be played upon, they have to get experience.
No grooming, absolutely no grooming.
Which football, not basketball players get. If you go in Punjab, you'll see so many players, people playing hockey, basketball and stuff, other stuff like that, not just football. So you have to condition those players first.
You know, you mentioned a very important point, and I'd like to come to that point to you, sir, particularly. He mentioned, some sort of camps in football. Now, we've noticed, not just PSG, but also, I think, Arsenal held a camp. Man U has taken kids from Bangalore to their youth, training programs as well. There have been some other clubs as well. But do you think there have been few and far in between, like 5 clubs coming in a year and taking 5 boys? It's not really going to, make parents enthusiastic about sending their kids to football practice instead of cricket practice?
Looking at the size of the country, obviously it is less and we would want more and more of it, but at least it's a good beginning. So what we are saying is it's a good beginning. More and more clubs are coming in, or more and more grassroots program, people doing good grassroots programs.
How many of you would like to play or watch something else rather than cricket? How many tennis watchers or players or any other sports? What do you watch? What's your name?
Okay, my name is Beatrice and I like watching basketball. I like watching basketball because it's more entertaining than cricket. And it's what I know. Because in my country, we don't play cricket. We don't support cricket. I don't think people
Where are
know
you
cricket.
from?
I'm from Tanzania.
Tanzania. Is basketball big in Tanzania?
It's not as big as football, but it is big.
So football is still higher than basketball. But you
Yes.
like watching basketball.
Yes.
Do basketball players in a country like Tanzania get the kind of exposure that you would see basketball players, say, in Europe or in America?
I can't compare it to the exposure they
But are
get
they
in
big?
Europe, but they're big.
They're big, right? So at least, countries like Tanzania also have people who have stars. How many of you think that having stars is the most important thing? Or do you think infrastructure, catching them young, is important? Is sponsorship really that important, Mr. Sethia? Is sponsorship really that important? Does talent come through always? Or do you always need to nurture it? Do players in the Indian football system come up because of or despite the system?
I would say at the moment, despite the system. See, one of the challenges that we face in football at the moment is most of the professional level players are coming from rural backgrounds, and the reason for that is that they have absolutely no other opportunity cost. As in, if you look at players from the cities, they grow up, and when they are in 10th, 11th, 12th, there is basically a decision between becoming a pro player versus education. And more often than not, the decision is favored towards studying more and focusing more on education. And hence, more from the rural background students come into professional sports, football. That was the case with cricket also till about 15, 20 years ago.
What changed? I'm trying to get to what changed.
Yeah.
What changed, what can change?
Is absolutely the mindset of the parents who feel that there is an opportunity, a professional opportunity for your son or your daughter to put them in a particular sport and potentially make a good living out of it. Actually, can somebody guess here what is the average salary in the I-League, which is supposed to be considered like a really, really poor form of football in India?
Does anybody know what's the average salary in the I-League?
The football
What do our
league?
Footballers get? 1,000 per game, is that it? No, that's not it. Any
Anybody
more
else?
guesses? Any more guesses?
Not that bad.
5 to 10 lakh a year. Is that
So
closer
a good player can make as much as 50, 60, 70 lakhs a year. Reasonably okay players make about 15, 20 lakhs a year. Now imagine you're a 21-year-old, you're making 10 lakhs a year, you're playing a sport, you're doing what you love, and what else do you really want? I mean
that's
think about it,
the
right?
ideal world right there.
But the thing is that message needs to be translated, and this is an I-League which has 13 professional clubs. Every club will have about 30 odd players, so we're talking about 400 odd players in the system. Now obviously this is not professionally run, and there might be anecdotes where players are not paid and so on. And I'm not even talking about ISL, which is much more lucrative when it comes to player salaries and the commercialization of sport. But there is a growing nature where money is coming into football. And hence, going back to your earlier point about sponsorship, unless a sport is commercialized, as I said, it will not work. And
what do
it's
we
moving
need
now.
to get the kind of sponsors we have in, say, cricket for a while?
Well, in ISL now, most of the brands have come and supported the sport, and they're all kind of testing the waters and seeing whether this will be a success or not.
What you in football are doing is you are waiting for ICL to improve football India. That will never happen.
That's not going to happen.
So you will have to have a domestic service bigger to get an ICL.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think absolutely I'm with you. What I'm saying is that for one reason or the other, our federation hasn't been able to get the kind of eyeballs from the sponsors that the sport should, probably the sport deserves. And even ISL definitely cannot necessarily change the foundation of the sport, but at least bring some commercialization into the sport, and then the sponsors or brands.
I'm sorry, I'm coming in between. You see, you can't have an expiry medicine and expect people to get treated. 90% of the players, those who are playing in ISL, are expired players. You're not getting any.
No, that's.
I mean, most of them. Most of them.
You know,
that's absolutely
talking about the international players who are coming in.
See, there is in cricket, most of the top players are playing.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. So I'm here representing FC Pune City, which is a Pune franchise of ISL. We have a tie-up with an Italian club called Fiorentina. It's probably 5th or 6th largest club in Italy. Yes. And we sent our players to train in Italy, all our players, the Indian players and the foreign players, to train in Italy for about 10 days. And one of the feedback that we got, the Indian players gave us, was that the kind of training, the conditioning, the infrastructure, and the exposure that they got.
Far superior.
Far superior. And these are professional players who are making good money. They're playing for big clubs like East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, and so on.
You know,
so there has to be, I mean, what I'm saying is if the money starts coming in, even the player quality will start increasing.
Who believes if money gets pumped into football, conditions will improve for the better? Hands, please. Most of you. You as well. You follow football, you're wearing a football jersey. What's your name?
My name is Anmol Best.
Do you agree that if more money comes in, infrastructure football-wise will improve?
Well, I can give you an example. When I came to know that ISL is starting, I was not giving much importance to it. But when I came to know that Alessandro Del Piero, David Trezeguet and Nicolas Anelka are playing in that league, I got very fascinated. So I thought it would be really good for Indian league to...
So see, that's a difference what 3 players make. 3 players, Trezeguet and Del Piero, and who else is there? Anelka. 3 players, they're all, I agree with Himanshu, they're all past their prime. For football fans, they'll know what I'm talking about. They're all past their prime. Yes, I'm coming to you. They're all past their prime, but 3 names got one guy to come over here and start watching ISL. Do you think that's the way forward? If we get more and more stars, more publicity, is that the only way? Would you agree? Well, 3 stars make a difference.
I agree with the young man there.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of difference when you have the spotlight on the sport which is thrown in. And I think ISL is just doing that. It is putting in the sport onto the spotlight, and you'll have more and more people watching the sport, and it will grow.
You know who remembers the Tata Football Academy? Does anyone know what the Tata Football Academy is? Does anyone here know? 1 person, 2 people. I think, you know, when I was young, the only thing we associated with football or football development in the country was Tata Football Academy, Jamshedpur, because that was the only sports academy, football academy anywhere. How much do you think things have changed since the days of the TFA and their teams playing in the major cups in the country? Has there been any development?
I think there has been a lot of development with a lot of focus. It requires obviously a lot of more focus. But what has led, and what is interesting about football is, which is again very different from like he was pointing out earlier, is that there has been a lot of focus on international football. A lot of Indians started watching a lot of international football. So they watched the FIFA World Cup.
People who agree with that, we watch more international football than we watch domestic football, will say yes in one voice. Yes. Why is that? Can anyone give me an answer for that? Why is that? Why do we watch more international football? What's your name?
Saras Mathur. As nowadays, people and children are big fan of Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi.
So again, it's the stars they're talking about. Very quickly, we'll take a couple of questions. I'll come back to you. What's your name?
Sir, Amit Kumar. Sir, don't you think that in ISL, people want to see Indian stars instead of foreign stars? Like there was Pro Kabaddi League also a few months ago only. In that, it was promoted like Indian stars were promoted. Like many of the current Indian stars.
Because we are superpower in Kabaddi, my friend. We are not a superpower in football anymore. Well, one more question there. What's your name?
My name is Mohammad Shiraz Khan. Yeah. I would like to ask a question from Judge that there are many international players who are playing in our country. Why our players are not playing in their clubs?
It comes back to standards as well. I'll keep that in mind. More questions. You already spoken. Who else? There were hands here before as well. I can see them. What's your name?
Zeb Mohammed. Yeah. So basically, I just want to say in one word, the international football thing is more entertaining than domestic ones.
Is it because the standard of the game, the superior physical aspect?
Yeah, obviously. We follow. We are like every Indian footballer in India is take inspiration as Ronaldinho and all other guys who is playing.
Is it just training skill? Is it talent? Or is it also the way you build talent from when they say 15 or 16? I mean, are we arguing here that we have players the caliber of Ronaldo as well as the others in Europe? Are we saying that? Do we have the right to say that?
I think the truth is we don't have the players of the caliber of a Ronaldo right now in India.
And why is that? That's what I want to get to. Why is that? We're a country of 1 billion people, right?
Correct.
More than 1 billion people. Why can't we get 11 people who will be good enough to win a couple of medals or games?
It's again purely because you don't get opportunities to get the best of training at the right age, at the golden age of training where you learn the technical skills. Whereas in other sport, say cricket for example, you get the opportunity because cricket is a big sport and you get those opportunities.
Is that it? Is that it, Himanshu?
No, who's stopping a child? You see today, who's stopping a child or anybody to get coaches from abroad and sending a children abroad to get trained? Who's stopping you? The cricket has taken the lead because it's a properly organized system.
Correct.
The only problem here is lying, again I'm saying, is that too much of private players are trying to do it. And when the private entity comes, he'll only come for business. He has to make sense of business. Unless and until your association starts to wake up and start to do structuring of it, nothing will
we'll start to wrap up now after this. But yeah, closing
See,
comments.
one thing I would say is that the question of whether we have a Cristiano Ronaldo in India, of course we don't have a Cristiano Ronaldo in India. But is there an 8-year-old who is probably as good as when Cristiano was 8? My answer is yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who believes that? We have people who believe that our kids are equally talented and if groomed properly can match the best in the world. In one voice, we'll say yes. Yes. No dearth of optimism here, and I thank God for that because we're still optimistic about it. But yes, go ahead.
So what happens from 8 to 18 is that a European player spends 10,000 hours with the football and we spend 2,000 or 1,500, and that's where it boils down to.
Okay, we have no more time, but I do have time for last takeaways from anyone who wants to say something, how we can try and give other sports a chance. Not just football. I'm not just talking about football here. I'm talking about any other individual sport. Quick bites, think about it, 20 seconds each. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Aditya. I feel it's not just about sports, it's about every field. Everyone needs an inspirational person to motivate themselves so that the motivation comes from within.
That's a good point. Inspiration from within. You spoke, what's your name?
Yeah, my name is Shiraz. I would like to say something that government should play some role in issuing some policy regarding the sports promotion.
A better sports policy perhaps. Government. Do we want government in sports, Himanshu? Do we want government in sport? Do we want to ruin our sport?
Government in sport, but we want support from the government.
We want support for the government, but we don't want the government in our sport at all. Yes, who else? Who else? Very quickly, what's your name?
My name is Naveen. Actually, we need is a difference in the educational system. We need incentive for the people who are playing sports. Actually,
Incentives. It's the same thing he's talked about. Incentives, of course, are one more thing. You already spoken. Who else? There are people over there. There's one guy here. Yes, very quickly.
So it totally depends on education.
About sport or just generally?
Sir, about sport.
Who else?
While we are comparing football with cricket, cricket is the best sport. We shouldn't compare football.
Who agrees with that? Who agrees with that? Who else? Who else? Cricket is the best sport. Apart from you, who else agrees? People will say yes. Yes. Two people agree with you.
Listen, cricket has improved itself. We shouldn't compare. We should learn from cricketers that how they have reached at that level. They should learn. They shouldn't compare themselves.
Okay, don't compare, but learn from cricket is what you're saying. No, that's a very good advice actually. I agree with you. Nobody is dissing cricket here. We love cricket. Last comments. I don't have much time now.
First of all, they're like Pune FC and everything. So Pune FC should go to all the Pune schools and start nurturing talent from the get-go, from young, and start making players. Stars will come from then. Then ask for government incentives, lots of tournaments, lots of practices.
Okay. Who agrees with him? Very quickly, I have to close after this. 20 seconds each.
So absolutely agree with him. In fact, Himanshu has been instrumental in creating a grassroots program for the league, where every single franchise of ISL has to spend serious amount of money in grassroots development.
A lot of work needs to be done.
Yeah.
We're nowhere close right now. I think in 10 years, if we can sit together and talk about how football has improved, one sport that is, I think we'd be lucky then.
Yes, but we'll have a lot of hands going up after 10 years.
Like maybe we will.
I think I can give a closing remark is that whatever debate we're having, cricket or football or whatever, I think India is actually turning out like US, and we have a space of 5 sporting country. We have space of 5, they have 5 big sports, big businesses happening. So I think cricket is actually a leader. The IPL has taught them, and all of them are actually followed by ISL coming, the Indian Tennis League is coming, the Kabaddi League is coming.
Next 10 years?
So for next 20 years, I would say it's a non-recession industry.
Okay, on that note, we have to end, but I must thank all of you who shared your views. Yes, you have one last comment, you always have a comment. Yes.
But USA is still winning Olympic medals, right? They're still you know, focusing on the development of other players.
Should
like
I
swimmers.
ask you a very simple question on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
All of you people sitting here, how many of you would become professional sports person and take your careers in case if you get chance?
If I
Not
had
two
the
of
chance,
you
if
will
I had
have
the
it.
chance,
Yeah,
yes.
that's. See,
that's
so
like
why
10%.
all of you are here doing an MBA in a professional college? Why have you not gone to a sports school or somewhere?
Because
So
there are no
because you don't want to
opportunities here,
become
because there is no
sports
money.
professional
There's no
yourself,
money
how
till
will you
now.
have countries?
There's no money till now. And today it seemed to me like we just got started scratching the surface, if you agree. There are a lot of problems that plague sports in India, not just football, not just cricket. We have to make sure that awareness, education, and the love for sport, of course, always counts. Do you think India has it in us to produce a team that can at least qualify for the World Cup in the next 20 years? Yes. Everyone thinks so? Yes. We have the talent? Yes. Even if, and despite the system, do you think we can do it? Yes. Optimism is what I like to see, and optimism is what we see in Sharda University today. Sharda University, I'd like you to thank one more time all the guests, starting with Mr. Sethia, Mr. Mehrotra and Himanshu Chaturvedi, and do not forget to clap for yourself and the optimism. Give yourselves a huge round of applause right now. That's Sharda University for you, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back next week with another episode of Campus Connect. Till that time, my name is Athar Khan. Goodbye.